Hello, happy Wednesday. That's what this video is all about. It's all about Wednesday. So, I'm Gail, I am the energy-led woman. Welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is where I share with you the things that I do to lead my energy-led life. And the reason you want to live an energy-led life is literally because you'll live a better life, you'll live a happier life, you will be more tuned into you, you'll be more tuned into nature and our world and our planet, and you will be more in control of your future, your destiny, all that kind of stuff. Just generally, you'll be more in alignment with yourself, you'll feel happier every day, and life becomes easier. Is that good enough advertisement for why I do this? I don't know. Anyway, one of the things that I get asked a lot in my world is, how do I keep on top of it all? Because there is a lot to this. When you think about energy and the energy that you live in, it impacts every single area of your life. It impacts your health, it impacts your wealth, it impacts your work, your relationships, your love life, everything. Can't even think of anything else, but it impacts everything. It impacts every area. And not only does it impact every area, but you're harnessing the energy around you, i.e. your seasons, your planetary shifts, your things like that. You're having an awareness of the energy within you. You're using that to help guide you to become who you're going to be. And that isn't about reaching for something that you're not. That's about being kind of moved along a path by the energies and your energies. It's about understanding, God, this is, it impacts a lot. There's a lot going on. Ultimately, the better you are able to make this a part of your life, the better you are able to control the frequency that you're giving off into the universe, because the frequency that we give off is what actually creates our reality. Okay, so everything is energy. Don't need to go into all that. Hopefully I don't need to dig much deeper into this, because if you're on my channel, you probably get this and you're already kind of here for a reason. So let me stop rambling and let me get a little bit closer to explaining to you about what I do. So I find that creating my own cycles is what works for me. We are cyclical beings. We work in cycles. We live in cycles, you know. When you think about the seasons, when you think about lunar cycles, the zodiac, we're moving through cycles all the time. Even if you just think about our solar system and think about that kind of like that image of the sun in the middle, and all the planets are just moving around the sun at all different kind of speeds and things like that. We live in a cyclical kind of, universe and time and reality. Now, obviously, like when you come down to that, women work in a different cycle to men. Men have a 24-hour cycle. Women have a 28-day cycle. There's all these cycles within cycles within cycles within cycles. So I kind of harness that, and I trust that if I follow the cycles that I have kind of created using the kind of energy around us, I know that I am going to touch on everything that is important as I kind of go through the week, the month, the quarter, the year, the season, whatever it might be. So I have certain things that I do on certain days, and that is what I'm going to take you through today. So I'm going to tell you all about Wednesday. I'm going to tell you all that I know about Wednesday, and I'm going to tell you what I kind of focus on a Wednesday, so that hopefully that might help you to understand how you can fit this kind of stuff into your life. Because sometimes when you look at this, it feels like it's another full-time job. It doesn't feel like it's easy to do. It feels like it's, you've got to make space for this, you've got to make time for that, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And while there is an element of that, I think when you understand the cycles and you start aligning with the cycles, it gets so much easier. Anyway, let's talk about Wednesday. So the current calendar that we're in was generally it came about from kind of the Romans into the Gregorian calendar, which is where we are now, which was created by Pope Gregory in something like the 16th century. So, you know, this is the time plan that we live by right now. This is our structure, our cycle, okay? So the Romans named the days originally, and they named them after the wanderers in the sky, so the planets that they could see and that they thought were kind of like gods and things like that. So the Romans named them first of all, and when we come to the Latin name for Wednesday, it is literally Mercury with like double I on the end. So obviously this is the day of Mercury, okay? I always remember French from school. Isn't Wednesday something like mercredi or something? Mercredi? Lundi, mardi, mercredi, yeah. Ignore the pronunciation. Anyway, we can also link it up to Germanic language. So the Germans adopted the Roman week, but they swapped it out for their own gods. And so Wednesday in Germanic language and history and, you know, going back in that route, it's actually Odin's day. A lot of people like Odin because of Vikings and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought I'd kind of mention that as we're going through this. So Mercury, as far as the Romans were concerned, was the messenger god. So Mercury is all about communication, trade, travel, kind of strategic, clever thinking, and language and messages, okay? Now, interestingly, Odin is about wisdom, language, knowledge, and mystical insight. So when we kind of bring those kind of two chains of thoughts together, we end up with a day that is really associated with speaking, language, learning, writing, ideas, and your voice, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, already you can see where we're going with this. This is a lot about self-expression. It's a lot about how you communicate. It's a lot about using your voice, speaking, using this tool that we're going to talk about in a little bit more. So, in human design, Mercury tells us about the message that we are here to transmit, not as a collective, as an individual. And what that means really is there is like this kind of like undercurrent to everything that you do in life, okay? And this undercurrent is what you are meant to transmit, what message you are meant to share, okay? And that's less about how you communicate, but it's more about like literally being designed to transmit something into the collective, so the collective can all become better and kind of live out the evolution for the collective, okay? The world is always evolving and growing and transforming and changing, as are we. And every communication, every connection that we make, every conversation that we have changes us and changes the person that we're speaking with, because it brings us a different experience, and it allows us to learn more and become more and grow from that. So each of us have a Mercury in our human design that tells us what we are meant to be transmitting, so what the other people are going to pick up from us, okay? Now, we have a conscious and an unconscious side to that. So your conscious side is what you're aware of that you talk about, what you're aware of that you kind of share. So this would be things like that you have an awareness for what you naturally talk about. Look at me, energy-led woman. Energy. It's what I naturally talk about. It comes to me really easily. I feel really passionate about it. When I start talking about like women's empowerment and using women's energy and the women's magic and all that kind of stuff, it becomes really, really easy. And for me, it really flows into this kind of like this transformational path, this evolution, because I do believe we're all on this evolution. So that becomes really, really kind of like naturally comes through for me. It's generally what people ask me to talk about. If someone was going to kind of come to me and speak to me about something, it is likely to be about this, you know? And this is what I naturally want to kind of like talk about. I want to teach, I want to guide, I want to help other people get clarity on it. So this is kind of like really kind of like coming natural, you know, it's what comes naturally to you is your conscious energy. Now, interestingly, my conscious energy is the gate of correction. So I consciously want to correct your path. I know that this is what I'm good at speaking about. I know that this is good at what I'm talking about. I know that it, you know, it flows through me. And then we have our unconscious, okay? And the unconscious is what comes through us that we don't even realize is happening. We don't actually know that it's coming through us. And this is when people will just kind of say to you things like, oh God, you helped me really understand that. And you're like, oh, okay. It's things where our words automatically activate things in other people, but we're not consciously doing it. We're not consciously activating this frequency in other people. It's just coming out of us. And this is like things like your truths that you don't even realize you're communicating, but you are communicating all the time, because communication is not just through your words, it's through your energy, okay? So, yes. So, as you can see, Wednesday is linked to Mercury. Mercury has lots of different layers and messages, okay? Mostly around communication and kind of language and knowledge and things like that. And then you bring it into human design, and it is more about the message that you are meant to gift to society so that society can learn and evolve from it, okay? Whew, it's a lot, isn't it? Okay, so clearly the chakra that I align to Wednesday is the throat chakra, because the throat chakra is all about what we're speaking. Now, the throat center chakra, however you want to word it, is a tool for taking what is within you, okay, your ideas, your feelings, your creativity, your truth, your beliefs, your conditions, all those things. They come out into the world through the throat chakra, the throat center. Sound is a vibration, okay? So we know that, right? Sound waves, we know that. All that kind of, when you are speaking something out loud, you are creating a vibration in the energy sphere, energy field around us. And that is kind of bouncing off, and it is kind of collecting the things that match to it to bring back kind of thing. So this, it really is a tool for manifestation. So if you're into things like law of attraction and you're kind of like, you know, speaking about what you want to attract is actually really powerful. But, or should I say, speaking about the person that you are to attract the thing that you want to attract is really powerful. So the throat moves energy outwards, okay? And if your throat, without you actually speaking things outwards, you're holding everything in. Now, speaking, we often see speaking as being something where we have to be interactive. You have to speak to someone else, right? Well, no, you don't. And as a self-projected projector, my throat is my superpower. And trust me, speaking out loud to yourself is as valuable as speaking to another person. Getting those ideas, those feelings, that creativity, that truth, your beliefs, getting them out through your throat center is really powerful, because this body can't hold everything, okay? The body can't hold everything that it absorbs from food, everything that it absorbs from the energy around us, and hold on to everything that you are creating within this body too. got to get it out. You've got to speak in some way, shape or form, okay? Now, the throat is extremely sensitive to authenticity. If what you are speaking is not truly aligned to your inner truth, your throat will constrict. It will be harder to speak the words. Your throat will tighten. You might cough. You might struggle. You might go croaky, and you might just be unable to find the words. But the throat really is very, very sensitive to authenticity, which that's, to me, why when someone is talking to you and you just know that they're fibbing, that they're not telling the absolute truth, I think it's a really subtle frequency in that the throat is, someone's speaking something that's not quite a truth, then the throat kind of changes the frequency slightly. And because we are attuned to frequencies, whether we believe it or whether we've been taught to do it or not, humans are receivers and transmitters of energy. So when someone is speaking something, yes, it's going in your ears, but the tone and the feel of it is being felt by your body too. So be aware of that if you, like to bend the truth just a little bit, because the other person will very, very likely know. If there's certain human design types that will absolutely know, projector being one of them. But yeah, just be aware of that. Now, I've already mentioned that this is your manifestation portal. Sound shapes reality. What you speak becomes a frequency in reality. It's like casting a spell. Speak it out loud and it goes out into the ether to become your real life, your world, to become your reality. Nothing happens in the outer world until it is expressed through the throat. Interesting. Okay. So, we have gone through the Mercury. I've come to you with information about Mercury. We've gone through the throat chakra. So today, my life topic is self-expression and communication. My voice in the world. My voice in the different areas of my world, okay? So what I tend to do is I tend to work through different areas. So what's my voice like when it comes to health? Am I advocating for myself when it comes to health? Am I speaking out loud the health that I want? Wealth, the same, okay? And self, am I speaking my truth? Am I doing all that kind of stuff? So those tend to be my three main pillars: health, wealth, self. If you're focused on progressing in your career, maybe you are asking yourself right now, what's my voice like at work, in my team, with my clients? What's my voice like there? What is the self-expression and communication? So, things that I will be doing today, or things that I do today, I've done some of them already. So I will be wanting to work with my throat chakra a little bit today. So what I tend to do, and this is how I do it, is I find a throat chakra chant on YouTube, okay? And I play it. And when I play it, I can be working. You need to have something that you're not necessarily thinking about. It needs to be kind of like an admin-y kind of task that you don't really need to think about. But I can be doing the chant while I'm listening to it. So most of the chakra, well, all of the chakras have a chant, and the throat chakra is a hum, 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 and I'm probably doing it on the wrong frequency. But by playing a YouTube chant in the background, I'm picking the right frequency, I'm making my throat work and do what it needs to do. And within that, I'm kind of reconditioning it, I suppose. I see it as like, if it's clear, I'm going to feel it. If it's blocked, I'm going to feel it. When I do that chant, it recalibrates it. It does all that kind of stuff. So I do some kind of chanting. The next thing that I will do today is I will journal about self-expression. So I will think about self-expression for the week prior. What have I... coughing while I'm speaking. Interesting. Let's just wash this down. So, journaling about my self-expression and my communication for the week prior. What does that look like? What did it feel like? What do I remember? What kind of flags come to mind? Did I miscommunicate with my partner and it caused an argument? Did I sit in a meeting and not really join in because I felt like held back? So it's about looking back over self-expression for the week that's just gone by and working out what that looked like for you. Okay. Then, using that information, we can then look into the week ahead and we can do a little bit of scripting about who we kind of want to be, how our voice, how our self-expression, how our communication is going to look for the week ahead. Maybe there was a big argument that was caused by a bit of a miscommunication from yourself in your partnership, in your love life. So maybe you redo that. So the scripting is about recalibrating yourself from who you were last week to who you want to be or who you truly are. Because who you were last week, all of those things have impacted you and you've become someone today because of those things that have impacted you. So who are you today and what does that mean that you are going to bring into your future? How are you going to expand who you now are? By doing this reflection work, you understand who you are. If you don't do the reflection work, then you kind of don't grow from that. You grow from the experiences, but that experience and the way that you reacted has created a neurological pathway in your mind. So what will happen is if you ever find yourself in that situation again, your mind will automatically follow that neurological pathway that you've created, okay? And every time you walk that pathway again, you are cementing it down. So by being able to look back and reflect on who we were and whether it served us, we are then able to tune back into who we actually are and kind of make a decision about, how we want to go forward next time. By redoing it, by doing a redo, you're actually kind of breaking up that neurological connection. But by scripting forward, imagining that situation in the future, imagining a different situation, imagining yourself what you are gonna be, you kind of create different neurological pathways. Affirmations can come in here. Tune into who you are and remember who you are. I am the woman who speaks well on camera. I am the woman who speaks from my G center out through my throat, and I speak better and I express myself better when I am not reading from something. My free flow is where my power is. This is kind of creating, it's affirmations, but I'm feeling them as I'm speaking them. And this is because this is who I am. Now, you can also bring in the moon phase if you want. So we're in the last quarter, which is kind of that, like looking back on the weeks that have just gone. So new moon is where we plant our seeds, we set our intentions. First quarter is where we kind of look back on them and we kind of go, is that really what I want? Okay, it is, let's go forward. The full moon is where everything is illuminated, we're at full power, but we can see where things are holding us back and we can, bring that forward to the last quarter. And the last quarter is where we look at the kind of what's gone and kind of go, okay, so how do I need to refine this? What do I need to change? How do I kind of expand, grow from those seeds that I planted? What are the seeds that I'm planting this time? So you can bring the moon phase into it as well. So that's my Wednesday, okay? So I am working on my self-expression and communication within my life. I am working on if you are into human design, go find out your conscious and your unconscious Mercury. That becomes part of my journaling. So I look back through my journaling at where I might notice those things that have come up. And then, looking forward and scripting forward and doing those redos and looking at, who you are and grounding in who you are and just bringing that back and calibrating that. Now, all in all, I do the chakra balancing whilst I'm doing something at work. I would probably spend, I don't know, 10 minutes journaling, 10 minutes scripting. It doesn't take me ages. Sometimes I don't even journal. Sometimes I just think about it. Even just recording this now for you while I'm speaking these things, I'm actually reflecting on them. There's a knowing coming through. So if you're listening to this video, I'm sure that you are thinking of how your self-expression was for the week gone by, and you're noticing areas where it might not have been so good just because I'm speaking to you about doing that. So, you know, just watching this video could actually just give you that kind of that transition, that reflection, that stepping into your power that you needed. So I hope that helps. Drop in the comments if you, I'm thinking, do I do one for every day? Do I do an overall video? What do we think? Anyway, that is Wednesday. That is my vibe for Wednesday. That's what I do. And because I have this as a cycle, it means I know I'm touching in on every point that I need to touch in on. Does that make sense? Enjoy. Catch you later.